Hello everyone, and welcome back to my week 2 progress report. In these progress reports, I'm going to be sharing with you my progress towards my 8-week summer challenge goals that I've set for myself. So in these videos, I'm going to be sharing with you my struggles, my challenges. My goals over the 8 weeks is fat loss. So I know a lot of women are striving to see weight loss occurring. They want to get their body compositions to a point where they're feeling really comfortable and they want to be able to sustain it. So these videos are all about sharing with you a bunch of tips and tricks that I use along the way, not only to get weight loss occurring, but also to make sure that it is going to be sustainable as well. So first of all, let's chat through how I am progressing. I'm feeling leaner, and that is despite it only being 2 weeks since I've implemented a couple of different changes in my training and in my nutrition. I've dropped about 1 kilo on the scale weight, although I'm not going to put too much importance on that just yet. I'm purely basing this on how I feel. I'm feeling relatively energized in my workouts. Although I do think I need to continue to prioritize sleep, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment's time. But in terms of my actual progress towards my weight loss goal, at this point in time, I really am just focusing on the daily habits that I know are really important to help me get there. So the first one is being in an energy deficit. I've been tracking my calories probably 80 to 90% of the time. Obviously, I've got pretty good awareness of what's in the foods that I'm eating, but I do find going back and tracking it is a great way to be keeping me honest. I'm really trying to make a big point of not eating food off Skylar's plate, which I know as a lot of mums who might be watching this, that is something that can be a really big struggle, especially when they're not eating the food. It's easy just to pop it in your own mouth. I'm focusing in on getting my steps up, so that's going to help drive the amount of calories I'm burning every single day, as well as training and getting a couple of HIIT sessions in a week. So I'm definitely finding that I'm getting my steps up, especially when I am in the gym. I'm probably clocking easily 16,000 steps, but I'm also looking for incidental ways to keep moving throughout the day. So whether that's walking to the grocery store or taking Skylar for an extra walk during the day, all of those little things do add up. Even if you think it's only 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, it is all about movement across the whole day and then therefore across the whole week. My training sessions are looking really good. My program at the moment is moderate load, moderate intensity, moderate volume. So I'm finding that I am able to recover from those sessions and continue to train 5 days a week, which is the goal that I've set for myself. And I am able to get in my very short 10 to 20 minute HIIT sessions a week. So I've already done one, which I jumped on the assault bike, 30 seconds on, or it's actually 20 seconds on, and then 40 seconds recovery for 10 minutes. And then later on the week, I'm going to be going for a little bit of a run and doing some sprints as well. So it doesn't have to be a huge amount of cardio, especially because I am focusing in on getting my steps up. That is enough. But as I've said in previous videos, you've really got to be implementing changes based on what you normally do. And normally I don't do any HIIT. I normally train 4 to 5 times a week. My steps are normally pretty high. So those additional HIIT sessions for me become more important to help drive weight loss. So one thing I really did want to talk about is what I am going to be doing with my diet over the 8 weeks. So I find that dieting sucks. I mean, most people should find that dieting sucks because you are eating less food. So I am going to be implementing a little bit of a diet break, not this week, but the end of next week. So that's going to be 3 weeks of a diet and 1 week where I'm going to take my calories back up to maintenance. A diet break has been found to help to increase compliance to your diet, because you know you've got a week or 2 weeks coming up where you're going to be putting your calories back up, so you can enjoy more food, more social occasions, a little bit more freedom with the foods that you're eating. And it means that then when you are dieting, you can be a little bit more focused. Therefore, making sure that your diet is actually going to be effective as well. But studies also show that when you have two populations, one group that implements diet breaks and the other that just follows a very traditional 12-week diet protocol, the group that does a diet break generally would find that over time they have a greater amount of fat loss, a greater amount of actual overall weight loss, they are able to maintain their muscle mass better, and they have less metabolic adaptation to that diet. Metabolic adaptation is something that is pretty normal that occurs when you do diet back, because your body is a really responsive beast. It acknowledges that you're on less food, and it starts to down-regulate the amount of calories that it's using on a daily basis. So unfortunately, the longer you are in a diet, the more the body starts to adapt to that diet and start to essentially look for shortcut ways to burn less energy. So I obviously have dropped a little bit of weight over the last 12 months since having Sky. So I'm also, my goals at the moment, they're not time dependent. If I add an extra week in of a diet break, yes, it will push out my, when I actually hit my overall final target weight, it will push out that duration by an extra however many weeks I implement that diet break, but it will mean that hopefully my results are going to be more sustainable. So for any of you girls who have a significant amount of weight to lose, and I'm talking more than say 2 to 3 kilos, diet breaks are a great way to be sort of mapping out your goals, to be, okay, maybe 2 or 3 weeks I'm going to be dieting, I'm going to have a 1 week diet break, and you can map it out based on your social calendar or whatever you've got coming up, birthdays, etc. Knowing that obviously, as I said, it's going to push out the total duration of your diet, but you will find that hopefully your results are more sustainable. I think also there's a lot of power in recognizing that we shouldn't always be in diet mode, and sometimes maintaining our weight is a great thing, because when we're eating at our calorie maintenance level, we're giving our body a great opportunity to recover, to make the most of the training, to be building new muscle tissue, to be taking in all these nutrients, and just generally feeling really good, sleeping well, all of those great things. So if you do have any questions about diet breaks, I'm more than happy to answer them. Lane Norton is another great resource that you can tap into, and Holly Baxter, who talk a lot about diet breaks as well. So I thought something else that really popped up this week across the community was people having a lack of trust over the foods that they're eating, and not really sure if those foods that they're eating are the right foods or the wrong foods, or that they're going to actually help towards their overall goal. Well, firstly, there is no such thing as a right or a wrong food. There is definitely foods that are going to be more helpful towards your goals, but there seems to be a lot of confusion out there with women about what to eat, and unfortunately that is a symptom of marketing, of fad diets, and generally the stuff that sort of some people put out, which maybe isn't necessarily backed by science. So first of all, if you're a smart woman and that you know how to make decisions for yourself, it is really important that you take responsibility for the foods that you eat. A lot of people go, oh, do you do meal plans? Does 23W do meal plans? And my general response is no, because I find meal plans suck, because you don't want to eat the same foods that I'm eating, because I like those foods, you may not. And I generally find that a lot of people don't stick to meal plans. And if they do, once they get off that meal plan, they really haven't learnt a whole bunch from how to actually, what is a criteria of a good meal that will actually help them either lose weight or sustain it. So I generally find that it is best when it comes to nutrition to really actually take accountability yourself and learn what is going to work for you, and know that what works for you when you start your weight loss journey might not be the same diet that you use when you actually drop more kilograms, because you find that your body changes, the way that you use fuel changes, so you're always having to change and adapt. So there's no point in going back to a meal plan that maybe you used 3 years ago and think that that's going to have the same result. It just simply won't. So it's really important to always think, how can I take responsibility for the foods I'm eating? Now, having said that, I definitely understand that when you're first starting out, and because there's so much miseducation and misinformation out there, that it is really important to have a certain set of criteria that can actually help you define what would be a good food. And yes, I know that sometimes we look for the most strict rules like paleo or keto or something like that, to be like, I can't eat here, or intermittent fasting, I can't eat this, but I can eat this. unfortunately, that's not life. Life doesn't work out that way, and that's certainly not going to allow you to have the sort of life that you are really enjoying, that's social, that allows you to go out and enjoy just the simple pleasures of life while having the body that you want. So I'm going to go through a little bit of a criteria that I think is really helpful, especially if you don't want to track your food. And as I said, always say, you don't have to track your food. Tracking food, yes, it's helpful because it helps you to learn what's in there, but you don't need to track your food. So what is the criteria? First of all, do you like the food? Make sure that if you are planning and preparing food, you actually like to eat it. There is no point in planning food that you just don't like, because you just won't eat it and you'll end up ordering Uber Eats or something like that. How does that food make you feel? Does it make you feel satisfied? Does it make you feel like you've eaten something that you've enjoyed? Or does it make you feel hungry or tired or lethargic? Or does it make you want to eat something else 1 to 2 hours afterwards? If it's doing any of those things, it's probably important to stop and go back to what you've actually eaten and try and make it more balanced. So that's number 3, is the meal balanced? So when it comes to a balanced meal, it should definitely be always a palm size of protein. A palm size of protein, whether you eat meat or you're vegetarian, is generally 20 to 40 grams of protein. And for an average woman, you probably need to be having at least 100 grams of protein per day. So it's about 2 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight. So using your palm and going, am I actually having enough protein? Protein is really important. It keeps you satiated. It helps to increase the thermic effect of the food, so you're burning more energy from eating it. And it's also going to go wonders to actually help you rebuild, repair and recover from your training sessions, so you're not just driving your body into the ground. The other part of a balanced meal is, yes, if you're dieting, you do need to pay attention to how much carbs and fats that you're having. So look for lean sources of fats. That doesn't mean not eating any fat, but be mindful that fat is really calorically dense, so it will drive up the amount of calories in your food. So try and opt for foods that are really quite lean when you're dieting back. Even go for diet options like low-fat options. Saving 50 to 100 calories here and there goes a long way to actually help you be in that deficit that you need to drive overall weight loss. So low-fat milks, low-fat cheeses, but again, make sure that you are actually enjoying those foods that you're eating. Minimize the amount of added fats that you're adding, cooking oils and so on. Nuts, make sure you measure them out. So make sure that you're probably only having a thumb size of fat per meal, and opt for lean options. And then when it comes to carbohydrates are not your enemy. They are certainly really beneficial because they are preferred fuel source. It's what our body likes to use when we're training, and if you're training hard, you're probably going to see results from your training, but measure it out. Make sure it's only a cupped handful if you are dieting, because that will help you to keep within your portion sizes and you're not going to end up spilling over in your calories. And then try and look for lots of fibrous veggies to try and boost up the volume of your food, so it really does feel like you're eating a substantial amount and it doesn't feel like you're eating like little food and then therefore feeling a bit depressed. So balanced meal. And then number 4 is, are you making decisions based on actually being hungry, or are you emotional, or are you thirsty? So recognize when you are going to reach out for food, stop and pull your awareness into it and say, am I actually hungry? Has it been 3 or 4 hours since I've last eaten? Or am I feeling stressed or tired or emotional? And make sure that you try and fix up whatever it is that's going on there. Try and address those cues before trying to solve it with food. And remember, water is a great way to test if you're actually thirsty or whether you are actually hungry. So I hope you enjoyed those little tips. They are things that I generally look for, especially when I'm not tracking, to help keep me on track. Obviously there's going to be indulgences here or there, but mostly my diet is made up of 80% whole, unprocessed food, and then each day I might sneak in a few little extra things, a little bit of chocolate, maybe a biscuit, whatever it is, it just makes me feel good. But I make sure that I'm an adult and I recognize that all my food choices have consequences of the way I actually end up feeling. And lastly, I want to talk about sleep because this has probably been my biggest challenge this week, and it's no fault of anyone else's but myself and not being disciplined enough to get my ass to bed. Sleep is so important when it comes to weight loss. Obviously, when you sleep, that's when your body actually stops, it rests and it recovers and it builds muscle tissue. Also, when you are sleep deprived, it is so much harder to be in an energy deficit because you're going to end up craving more food and you're going to end up more hungry because of the way that sleep influences your hunger and satiety hormones. So I definitely found that over the last couple of days, I've been more hungry than what I probably should have been. And that's because I was not getting the full 7 to 8 hours that my body really does need to make sure that I'm working towards fat loss. So my goal next week is to get my booty to bed on time, to be not there on social media at night time, and make sure that I'm implementing a much better wind down routine to help me make sure that when I am waking up in the morning, I'm feeling rested, I'm feeling more energized, I'm feeling like I'm in a better mood, and obviously therefore going to be able to stay more compliant and adherent to the goals that I set myself. So that's it for me, guys. That is my week 2 progress report. Please feel free to share how you're getting along and how you're enjoying the challenge. And I can't wait to speak to you next week. Bye.